Warning, this podcast contains violence, sexuality, gore, and other horrible and disturbing things. Listener discretion is advised. Also, the hosts of this venture are ignorant dipshits, so please do not take anything they say as fact. And enjoy the show.
Now, are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then we'll begin.
Today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be.
It is our basic human right to be fucked up.
A second plane now has crashed into the other tower of the World Trade Center.
Putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
The defendant shall be incarcerated for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole.
You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men.
We were somewhere around Barstow, on the edge of the desert, when the drugs began to take hold.
Oh, cause very charges.
Hello, occultists. I am the COVID-negative Richard Bigley. And in studio with me today, I have COVID-negative.
Sage Murray.
And COVID-negative.
Leon Pilger.
And COVID-negative.
Ood Gallifrey.
And we also have our COVID-negative guests.
Henry Chapman.
And
Geo the Void.
And I technically can't get COVID anyway, so it doesn't matter that you bogarted me with the guest.
Because you're a non-corporeal something or other.
Yeah,
demon.
I could be a virus, but like, that shit's lame. You're little.
Just wait till the abyssal variant.
So let's just dive right into the poisons.
Fuck yeah.
So, what's your poison?
If you dive into a flat earth ocean, is it like diving into the shallow end of the pool?
We'll talk about that shortly.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So for poison, I have this MXG mango pineapple cannabis beverage. The can is, I don't know, it's smaller than a regular like pop can or whatever, but it's got 10 milligrams of THC in it. So there you go.
It's like the awkward middle child between like a Coke Mini and a regular Coke.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never had a weed drink. They have all the safety proof or child-proof caps. Yeah,
they have like a child-proof kind of thing where you got to pop the can and then you got to pop the can a second time.
These are excellent.
I think I'm undecided on mango.
It smells like mango.
Tastes like mango? Like kind of like a weak sort of mango.
Like a melted freezy almost.
Yeah, like a melted freezy.
My fucking rating for this already. It's like, you know how like a bar of Dr. Squatch soap smells really good, but it tastes terrible?
I can't say that I know that.
Okay, Dr. Squatch has a bunch of soap and they all smell incredible, but if you accidentally get them in your mouth while you're like shampooing your beard, it tastes disgusting.
Accidentally, yeah, okay.
Next time I'm in the shower, I'll give it a lick and I'll let you know.
I think that's the same for all soaps. I've never had a pleasant tasting soap mouth experience.
I don't know. I'm just plugging Dr. Squatch. Give us some money. Sponsor us.
No, we should only plug them if they are giving us money.
No, I tried to get them to fucking sponsor us, but they've got this whole system, and basically because we're Canadian based, they won't let us advertise their product even though they ship here.
Rate it as a poison.
Actually, call out to any soap company that wants to sponsor us.
We will eat your soap.
Unless it's toxic, we will eat your soap as a poison.
Yes.
I know how to make soap.
Fuck yeah.
We've all seen Fight Club.
I will take a video of me washing my foreskin with your soap.
Oh.
I will take a video of me washing Leon's foreskin with your soap. Okay. We are just going to try to one-up each other with your product if you wanted to sponsor our podcast.
Yep.
Actually, let's say that goes for pretty much anybody listening.
It's true.
Yeah, we'll just try to one-up each other with your product. So you just give us money, we'll do anything. We are corporate whores. Don't worry about us.
Yeah. If that aligns with your company's values, just
or lack thereof.
Feedback at volvepod.ca.
What does everyone else think of this mango drink?
I really like it.
Yeah, it's a lot like, I forget what they're called, but there's like these flavored water drinks you can get from Costco. They're like they sat beside.
I think they're just called ice.
Yeah, that's the one.
Or like bubbly, or
they're very
or like White
medium.
Claw.
They're ice, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it's Costco La Croix.
$2.
Yeah, like they're all in the same category. Like they sat beside a mango once. like in high school.
Yeah, so someone took the water and kind of set it beside the mango while they cut the mango, and didn't actually put the mango in the water. But it kind of has that like homeopathic hint of mango, where it's like 1/10,000th of a mango, maybe. I don't know.
It reminds me of my childhood in a way that I don't like. Like, is it a vitamin C tablet, or is it like some Tang, like just like it's a carbonated version of like the powder you used to drink,
like the emergencies.
Something like yeah.
Any other further comments, or shall we carry on?
I like the bubbles, and it has THC in it, which I'm going to enjoy later. So
bubbles and THC.
Yeah, 8 out of 10 at least.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So what are we on right now?
Earth.
Yeah, no, I get that. And what is it? What shape is it?
Flat with a dome over top with the sun, moon, and stars at the top. Yep.
Flat.
Flat.
The Earth is flat.
My reality, my senses tell me that the Earth is flat and stationary.
Everybody here can agree on absolutely one thing, which is it is not a globe.
Planes are not like driving a car, right?
Yeah.
So are they navigating from sight? Or are they navigating from equipment?
And they just run based on like GPS, which is owned by the U.S. military, by the way.
They're not actually knowing if they're going east or west. Right. The only thing that's telling them that is the equipment.
Right.
Most planes, they're not even operated. I mean, they're sitting there having naps or, playing games because it's autopilot, right? It's running on a computerized system.
There's not one person in here that is so intellectually strong that you wrote the programming on your own.
What we're looking here is empirical evidence to help unpack some of the deception so that people can look at, wow, water doesn't stick to a stationary ball, and it certainly won't stick to a spinning ball.
I never was able to understand why the world seems to be so messed up. Why all these wars, why all the killing? Why do they spend so much money on things like this when they could just spend that same money and fix the problems?
If you were shown conclusive proof of a globe Earth with your own eyes, how would you feel, and would you be able to adjust your viewpoint to match?
Honestly, I would be relieved. I would be, because that would mean that this nightmare is over.
Is it a nightmare?
It is. It is a nightmare because we're going against the entire belief system of the entire world.
Flat Earth Conference, I think it would be a lot of people that would start questioning many things. So not necessarily it comes down to the shape of the Earth. I think it expands further than just a shape. It comes down to a discussion. It says, what questions can we ask that, aren't allowed? Or when do we get frowned upon for going that far? Just basically being curious. I think it's a lot about curiosity. I thought it's a lot about different beliefs coming together, but all being highly critical of everything we've been taught from an early age. And because, people say it's scientifically proven, when we look into it and truly it's not been done under the scientific method. So I would say a lot of us represent people that really love true science, but we're really not for scientism and theories, theoretical type sciences.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
You don't believe that they've gone to space?
No, not at all. The rockets go up, sure. There's nobody in them.
I hope you're ready to listen fast because I'm ready to speak fast.
Pretty much everyone here, though, is kind of a conspiracy theorist.
I'd say that's a common trait, but I think there's a little bit of conspiracy theorists in all of us. I really do.
And it's not just NASA. It's the that whole perspective that is showing fakery.
Yeah.
Some of them don't know that they're lying because they're deceived, and they don't know that they're also deceivers.
Well, NASA were developed for the sole purpose of lying to us. Their only purpose is to perpetuate the globe lie. Every single story that is told by NASA has the subcontext that we live on a globe. The way they're faking things is with top-of-the-line, absolutely cutting-edge studio techniques like were used in the film Gravity. So they're using trapeze, they're on high wires, in order to fake us for as long as humanly possible.
I've spent the last 15 years looking for truth.
Do you feel like the mainstream scientific community will concede to your way of thought?
They can't, because it means then almost the breakdown of civilization. If you realise that the Earth's flat, well then hang on, why are we sending things up into space? There is no space. Where's all this money going to?
What's the point?
The reason behind all this deception is they've relegated us to a microbe, a speck of dust in an infinite void with nothing in control. Powerful people who have got more money than us can now say, You do as we say.
We have pictures in our head of like boats flying over the edge. When we hear that, we think of flying discs in space. Again, those words trigger something in people as probably the most ridiculous thing. I laughed at this and thought it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So I understand why people would initially laugh at it. I did, and pretty much everyone here. Whether they laughed at it or they went out and said, I'm going to debunk this in like 2 seconds, when they sincerely started to look if they could truly debunk it using the scientific method, not pictures and videos are not scientific proof. You can believe in them all you want, that's fine. Anyone's entitled to believe what they want, but can you truly say it's scientifically proven based on a video? No, that doesn't fall under the scientific method. So we're all about let's conduct experiments, and we say the biggest thing you're going to hear here continually, don't listen to a word we say, go do the research yourself.
Based on what they're showing us, it seems very fake. When we're being presented with things like the moon landing footage, and you've only got to look at it with a critical eye to see that it's done on a set.
The first rule of Flat Club is you don't talk about Flat Club.
I haven't really come out all the way yet. I'm still a little in the closet.
The North Pole's in the middle. I mixed with quite a lot of flat earthers in New Zealand.
You know flat earthers, I guarantee it. But you don't know who they are because they're afraid of talking about it.
So are you certain this is what the Earth looks like?
Pretty sure. Almost. I mean, there are some details to be worked out, sure. But the basic concept is sound.
The idea of a spherical Earth seems to have originated out of the Greek Pythagorean school. Some have even attributed the idea of a spherical Earth to Pythagoras himself. Basically, they figured this out using math and simple observation. For example, if you sail towards mountains, they seem to emerge and rise out of the ocean as you get closer, which would suggest that the mountains were hidden out of view by the curvature of the Earth. In fact, Eratosthenes had used measurements of shadows on sticks in the ground to determine the circumference of the Earth with fairly reasonable accuracy 2,000 years ago.
Eratosthenes asked himself how it could be that at the same moment, a stick in Syene would cast no shadow, and a stick in Alexandria, 800 kilometers to the north, would cast a very definite shadow. Now, if at a certain moment, each stick casts no shadow at all, that's perfectly easy to understand, provided the Earth is flat. If the shadow at Syene is at a certain length, and the shadow at Alexandria is the same length, that also makes sense on a flat Earth. But how could it be, Eratosthenes asked, that at the same instant there was no shadow at Syene and a very substantial shadow at Alexandria? The only answer was that the surface of the Earth is curved. Not only that, but the greater the curvature, the bigger the difference in the lengths of the shadows. The sun is so far away that its rays are parallel when they reach the Earth. Sticks at different angles to the sun's rays will cast shadows at different lengths. For the observed difference in the shadow lengths, the distance between Alexandria and Syene had to be about 7 degrees along the surface of the Earth. By that I mean, if you imagine these sticks extending all the way down to the center of the Earth, they would there intersect at an angle of about 7 degrees. Well, 7 degrees is something like a 50th of the full circumference of the Earth, 360 degrees. Eratosthenes knew the distance between Alexandria and Syene. He knew it was 800 kilometers. 800 kilometers times 50 is 40,000 kilometers. So that must be the circumference of the Earth. That's how far it is to go once around the Earth. That's the right answer. Eratosthenes' only tools were sticks, eyes, feet, and brains, plus a zest for experiment. With those tools, he correctly deduced the circumference of the Earth to high precision, with an error of only a few percent.
Before we realized that the Earth was a sphere, people would understandably think that the Earth was flat, you know? Like, even atop of, like, Mount Everest, you can't even see the curvature of the Earth. If you want to learn more about Mount Everest, see a case 34.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, bodies on Everest.
So it's understandable that many societies develop this idea of a flat Earth because, I mean, you look around you, you don't see anything curve. I put one foot in front of the other and I just keep walking and there's still no curve. People have tried to challenge, though, the idea of a spherical Earth. pretty much throughout history. So, for example, William Carpenter published the Theoretical Astronomy Examined and Exposed, proving the Earth not a globe. This book was basically 8 parts. The first one was released in 1864, and he published it under the name Common Sense. What kind of name is that?
It's begging the question, Lily.
Exactly.
Shit poster name.
That's a shit poster name, exactly.
Posting in the 1800s.
Yep.
Yeah. So even in the modern era with things like low Earth orbit space stations, satellites, photos from the surface of the fucking moon and whatever, people still challenge the idea of a spherical Earth. So like in 1956, Samuel Shenton set up the International Flat Earth Research Society. And even in 2017, there was a Tanzanian PhD candidate who did a dissertation defending the idea of a flat Earth.
Ew.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of your career to balance on that. Jesus.
So what does the flat Earth look like? So like, let's imagine you have a dinner plate and in the middle you have the North Pole, where they would usually have the tacky like 1980s floral pattern around the edge of the plate. You know the one I'm talking about. You've all seen it.
Yeah.
That would be Antarctica. So one side of the plate is basically the southernmost tip of South America, and then across from it on the other side of the plate, you would have Australia and New Zealand. Is New Zealand even like a place? Like, I think it's a hoax.
I don't know. One of our patrons says he lives there, but like, I don't know. I think he's pulling a fast one on me.
Well, I've never been there, and I don't know anyone who has.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever really been to New Zealand?
I'm pretty sure New Zealand's actually just Tasmania, and people are bad at maps.
I think we've got a couple of patrons in New Zealand who would argue that.
Well, they say they're from New Zealand.
Yeah.
New Zealand, you're fake news. It doesn't exist. Anyway.
Just like Finland.
What the hell's a Finland?
Oh, come on now.
Anyway, so yeah, in short, north is towards the center of the Earth, and south is towards the edge of the planet, the flat Earth. So I'm like, well, okay, let's do a bit of a thought experiment. What if we did have a flat Earth?
What if you could slide into 1,000 different worlds, where it's the same year, and you're the same person, but everything else is different? And what if you can't find your way home?
Dun, dun, dun.
So this episode, I will take you into an alternate universe, kind of like in the show Sliders. So, let's start out with the formation of the Earth. Gravity loves spheres. All matter has gravitational pull, large or small. So I'm being pulled towards the center of the Earth, and the Earth is pulling towards me, and we're also acting upon the sun, though in a much smaller way. You know how the moon's gravity affects the tides on Earth, that sort of thing. And so since matter is being pulled equally from all sides, a sphere becomes a very natural shape for matter to form in.
Yeah, like in a 3-dimensional space, having gravity pull from all sides, it'll crunch down to a sphere big enough.
Exactly. And so dust basically collects with other dust in space, which forms a rock, which pulls other rocks. And so this happens over and over.
That's why you see like some of the smaller moons in our solar system are still lumpy, but as you get up the scale of bigger and bigger moons, they become more and more spherical.
Ood, which are the most two famous non-spherical moons in the solar system?
The one that looks like the Death Star and Ganymede.
The Death Star, a famously round object.
No, it has
It has a dent
the
in it.
loop in it.
Is it the Martian moons?
Yeah, the Martian moons Phobos and Deimos.
Oh, there we go.
One of them in like 50,000 years is set to like disintegrate around the orbit of Mars and then give Mars its own set of rings.
That's quite soon. Like
something like that, yeah.
There's a conspiracy theory that because Phobos and Deimos are such not moon-shaped moons, that they might actually be evidence of previously spacefaring civilization that captured asteroids and put them around Mars to mine.
That's no moon. That's a space station.
Could you put a picture up?
While we're waiting for that to cast.
No, a nickel isn't worth much these days, but if you have an asteroid full of them, I mean, you may as well mine it.
There you go.
Yeah, Phobos is kind of round-ish, but Deimos is definitely like a lump.
Yeah.
And they're also smaller than Pluto.
Looks like a planchette.
Yeah, they're so small that they don't actually have the ability to pull themselves into a perfect sphere.
It takes a lot of energy to compress rock, and gravity is comparatively weak compared to the other forces.
Can you do an image search for flat Earth just so that we have that up there or whatever? There you go. So you see North Pole in the middle there, and
then the CIA guarding the ice wall.
So basically the rocks just all pull each other together until you form a planet. how do you stop gravity from making things spherical? And how do you make a flat Earth? Well, you'll need to spin the planet very, very fast. The problem with that is this fast-moving spinning planet would be very unstable, so as it collected more mass, it would break apart because gravity is still trying to shape it into a sphere even though it's spinning around very, very fast. And it's actually interesting because James Maxwell, he was an astronomer in the 1850s, and he had used math to show that everything tries to form spheres. And so like people looking at Saturn were like, look at those nice rings Saturn has. And they just kind of assumed they were like a solid ring. And he used math to prove that no, it's just a bunch of little spheres orbiting Saturn to look like rings. And I'm like, see, that's cool.
There were three possible explanations for Saturn's rings. One possibility was that the rings were solid rock or ice. Another, that they were entirely fluid. A third explanation said the rings were made up of lots of individual particles that circled Saturn. As the rings were over 1 billion kilometers away, proving which explanation was right seemed impossible. So how did Maxwell go about kind of disentangling those options?
Well, with great difficulty. But of course, what's really striking, what's very impressive, is that he did it using pure maths. And you wouldn't perhaps instantly think that this was a problem you could tackle that way. You think, well, the way to do it is to just build a big telescope and have a look. But the mathematics that Maxwell brought to bear on this allowed him to look at these three cases and to basically decide which one of them was the correct answer. So if we take, first of all, the case of a completely solid ring, there's a particular mathematical equation that describes that case. The distance from the centre of the planet to the centre of the rings, that's this big R here. And I just perturb it a little bit if I disturb.
The maths is incredibly complicated, and as a geologist, I'm a bit out of my depth. But I understand the basic point. Maxwell reduced the physical world to mathematical symbols, and then used maths to predict what was happening around Saturn. Maxwell said that a solid ring was possible, but only if most of the material was bunched together on one side of the planet.
And of course, if you look through a telescope, it doesn't look like that. So that model was discarded, back to the drawing board.
Maxwell then assumed that the rings were fluid and came up with an equation to describe how that might work.
Off he goes with his complicated mathematics.
He found that if the rings were fluid, physical forces acting on them would eventually break them up into lumps. So he discounted this possibility.
And that leaves the third possibility, which is that the rings consist of a very large number of independently moving particles, particles that are all orbiting Saturn on their own. And what he boiled all of that down to was an equation to tell you how many particles you would need in order to have the system stable. And sure enough, this seemed to work. So it wasn't just that he'd shown that the other two possibilities were wrong, but that this third possibility did actually work as well.
What I find staggering is just the notion that you can just use numbers to predict something you've got absolutely no knowledge about directly.
Sure. I think for me, that's almost a watershed moment in how we do physics, because it laid the foundations for really how we do physics today, because there's many examples, everything from, say, the Higgs boson to studying distant galaxies, where you can make theoretical predictions, and it might be years or decades or even centuries before you can fully test those predictions. But hey, it works.
So he was right. The other way to form a flat Earth would be if something catastrophic happened to Earth, causing it to be crushed flat. Again, this is not likely, since again, gravity would eventually start to reform the Earth back into a sphere. Understandably, it would be hard for any sort of life to develop on a planet that's being perpetually crushed or being continuously ripped apart as it's spun. So let's just rewrite the laws of physics.
Step on me, solar system daddy.
Let's reform physics. So let's say gravity now forms flat bodies instead of spheres. So instead of gravity pulling equally, there'd be preferences to a single side of whatever object you've got. This would allow disc-shaped structures to form without being destructive to the planet. That said, it would be weird for nature to know which way is down.
Like definitively.
And then it's like, if nature did know which way was down, why doesn't every body in the universe just fall towards the bottom of the universe?
The universe would be like on the accretion disk of a black hole, just like falling down?
Yeah, it just keeps falling down because gravity from every other body in the universe would be pulling everything else down towards it, you know?
It would be hard to observe, too. If everything is, like, if galactic east is down, you would have to look underneath you to observe, like, the faces of other planets and stars. It would make us, like, if we looked ahead of us and saw all the other flat, and we just see the ass end of everything, right?
Exactly. Like, it would just, everything would be falling. Yes, Gio.
Is the reimagined physics, do they take into account the chunk of Earth under the circle, or is it more like a coin shape?
I'm taking into consideration like the chunk.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
The butt.
The butt of the flat Earth. Yes.
So
what's happening underneath us?
Yeah.
Is it thicker in the middle than it is on the edges?
Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
So it's okay. So it's shaped like a bush pie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that was accurate.
Or an upside down hat of conical variety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like one of those paper cups that you get at water coolers.
Yeah, which make no sense because you can't put them down, and when you can't put them down, you try to put it down, then it just spills everywhere, and then it's on my pants, and I hate it.
Yeah.
Can we get bush pies to sponsor us?
Like just
is that a company?
In general?
Maybe.
Bush pie's the idea.
The
concept of bush
pies.
We're sponsored by sandwiches.
I love that.
Things between bread.
Wouldn't a bush pie be more like a calzone, though? You know?
I think so, yeah.
Bush pies would be
Yeah,
calzones,
bush pie
I
is a
think.
calzone.
If you make a bush pie grilled cheese, it's like that flat Earth.
No, not the way we make. We have a bush pie maker. And
Yeah,
it's
but there are square bush pie makers and there are round bush pie makers.
okay. Well, we have all this like the square.
I have
one.
squares too, but I have seen the round ones and they make flying saucers.
Weird.
Yeah.
Basically, shit would behave as we would normally expect the closer you were to the North Pole, because that's the direction gravity is pulling everything, being closer to being vertical. The further away you go from the North Pole, the more observable the effects of flat Earth would be. Imagine if you had a sporting event on flat Earth. Like if you were playing baseball, you would want the outfield to be like closest to the North Pole because, you know, you hit the ball and then you'd have that gravitational advantage pulling you north. So your ball would go further if you were, you know, hitting towards the North Pole on this flat Earth model.
It'd be easier to lose weight in that world. You just need to walk one
You
direction.
walk further from the edge, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, same deal for hockey or football or soccer. You definitely want the North Pole gravitational advantage. The other interesting gravity effect would be gravitropism, which is basically the process which causes plants to grow up and down. You know, the tree trunk grows upwards and the roots grow downwards. Well, plants would grow smaller and smaller as you approached the edge of the Earth because the gravity would be pulling on it stronger to point north. So, you know, say you had trees, they would be growing at an angle facing north and their roots would be growing south because of this gravitropism effect on flat Earth.
Would that make them like at an angle, or
Yeah, they would grow at an angle out of the ground, the angle facing towards the center of the planet, towards the North Pole. So they'd all be growing north. And then as you get further south, they got to grow at a steeper and steeper angle because
just lying down.
Yeah, so they're just like trees lying down. Yeah,
They're just having to sleep.
Google image search for gravitropism.
So you'd trip over a lot more logs near the edge.
That's right. It'd get a lot more trippy on the South Pole. Da, da, da. Oh.
One more year in hell for that one.
I didn't know you were keeping track.
What do you think I'm here for?
Fuck. God damn it.
This also gets interesting, the whole gravity experiment, because, you know, you're like looking up to the sky and you see some dark clouds and it's going to be raining. So you grab your umbrella. And since gravity makes everything kind of move to the north towards the center of the surface of the Earth, you would have the rain falling towards the north as well.
That's terrifying.
So rain would always fall north.
It's raining sideways?
Yes. And so, like the trees, the rain just gets steeper and steeper angles as you head further south. So, like if you're in Australia, you're going to be holding your umbrella out in front of you because the rain will be practically horizontal.
Hey, Richard.
Yes.
Serious question that relates to what you just said about the tilty trees.
It's raining men.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
Waluigi.
Is it possible to grow beans in a centrifuge? And if you do, will they grow toward the center of the centrifuge, or will they grow toward the light source?
Shit, I don't know.
I just came up with that question
It
now.
seems like a lot of stress for a plant.
Or would they just get
They probably
Just
get thick. But I mean, I'm not talking about like a crazy centrifuge, like separating blood, just like a few RPM to swing them toward the outside.
Well, but also like it's just like, so put a plant on like a bike tire and make it spin. Like it's not gonna have a good time.
We'll leave it up to you listeners. If any of you
please
have
let
a
us know.
slow centrifuge, put a bean sprout in it and
Tell Leon what happens.
Just let us know. Yes.
if the rain would go to the north, that would make the Toto song "I Bless the Rains" left in Africa, wouldn't it?
It would.
Yes.
Flooding would be a weird thing.
Oh man, the water would be flowing uphill. That'd be so weird.
Which actually brings me to my next paragraph.
Oh fuck.
Nice
That's
segue.
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not limited to rain. All the oceans would basically collect around the North Pole
Gross.
because water would all flow north. Everything would flow north. And so that involves all the oceans. And because there's only so much water out there and everything's collecting around the north, that would leave the south, like the Antarctic Ocean. It just wouldn't exist. It would just be a barren, frozen seabed.
So in our world, the polar bears are fucked, and in the flat Earth world, the penguins are fucked.
Well, it would be terrible for any country kind of in the northern hemisphere of the planet, like, say, Canada, because we'd have all that water just over top of us or gathering and collecting over top of the land.
Would we have hemispheres or would we have rings?
I guess we might have like a southern ring or something.
Yeah.
South ring?
Yeah,
Central,
something like that.
equatorial ring?
Well, you would have the ring of Cancer and the ring of Capricorn.
True.
There you go.
I don't want the ring of Cancer. That sounds like a cursed D&D item.
Realizing that your northern community is fucked, you decide to venture south. Basically, you're going towards the edge of the flat Earth before kind of the place where you go to fall off. So you're like, well, I don't quite know which way is south. So you check your phone, and there's no GPS signal. In fact, there's like no signal at all because there's no communications infrastructure because satellites could not orbit a flat Earth.
Oh, fuck.
There would be no satellites. You would launch them up, and then they would eventually slowly fall to the North Pole.
Oh,
Yes.
into the giant sphere of water.
Exactly.
God damn it.
Now, of course, some flat Earth people explain this by saying that there is a cosmological current which actually moves GPS satellites in orbit. So it kind of curves and swirls around, sort of like, turbulent water or something like that, which kind of pushes satellites to where they got to be to do this like GPS effect. And now this is kind of weird because this is like way more complicated of an explanation than just the Earth is round and we have satellites orbiting the planet and that's our GPS. Like think about like trying to throw a rubber duck in the ocean 100 meters from shore and expecting the currents to just bring it back to you.
I saw some old model that somebody in the 1600s put together to try and justify geocentrism. And, like, they had to make all these weird fucking caveats to make all the planetary motions around them work in a solar system where the Earth is at the center. And it's just like, this is just way more complicated than just, like, we're one planet of many circling the sun. And it's just full of, like, convenience, too. Like, oh, it's very convenient that we just have a cosmic stream to carry the satellites we need around. Very convenient.
Yeah, it's just such a weird, complicated thing, and I'm not even sure how one would explain that. But, whatever. So you end up walking south because it started to rain, and so you just kind of walk into the rain as you head south. Now it's like, how south can you go? Can you fall off the flat Earth? That seems like the reasonable idea, is that you'd eventually get to Antarctica, and then you could fall off the planet.
What our own senses tell us is that the Earth is stationary.
But nobody's fallen off the edge of it.
Nobody has fallen off the edge of it.
At what point do you fall off the edge?
Can I just respond to what Brian said there? He said
Where's the end of
things
space?
disappear behind
We
the
don't know.
curve, and one of the main reasons why we believe that the Earth is a fixed stationary plane is because things aren't disappearing as quickly as they should be. We can see cities and mountains and islands 40, 60, 100 miles. The world photography distance record is 273 miles, right? And we can see the tips of the Pyrenees from the south of France, and you shouldn't
You
be able to
can't
see
see the base of them.
Well, of course not.
Because the Earth is round.
Not because of the Earth is round, and because of perspective, and because of the way light works, and because of the way our eyes work.
We interviewed on it. One of the highlights of my career, actually, was interviewing Major Tim Peake up in space on the International Space Station.
Right.
Now, he brought in his beautiful book. You see the curvature of the Earth. You very clearly see that it's a circle. So are you telling me that this interview with him, I'm talking to somebody that's just made that up or wasn't actually there?
Yeah, he's not.
He's not in outer space.
Can I just...
Where is he then?
In a Hollywood studio type.
But, so you're saying that Tim Peake is alive?
Well, I mean, if you look at Tim Peake and people like Neil Armstrong and all the astronauts, they're all military guys. If you look at them, they're all military. They're not scientists.
No, they're not. No, they're not. 230 individuals from 18 different countries have visited the space station. They were not all military. Some were teachers. We've met some of them, ordinary people. Are all 230 people liars? I have personally seen with my own eyes the curvature of the Earth.
Is he lying?
Is it the circle
he's a
vision
liar.
of
He's
your
not a liar, though.
Is it the circle limit of your sight? Because obviously the limit of our eyesight.
I was very lucky, and I went on Concorde.
Okay.
So I was very lucky I went on Concorde. So that's 60,000 feet. You could clearly see the curvature of the Earth.
What's the shape of the
Concorde.
windows?
Actually, science.
It was the shape of the windows.
No, I didn't say that. I said, what was the shape of the windows, is what I said.
Like an oval?
Scientists themselves tell us that you have to be 50 miles up to be able to see the curvature of the globe. An average commercial plane travels at 7 miles, which is around 33,000 feet, 35,000
Which
feet.
Concorde wasn't.
You were about 10 or 12 miles, so we're still, again, way below what scientists themselves tell us.
Oh, I've got so many questions. We're going to have to end this. I'm really sorry. I really want to ask you, but hold on. We will. We can continue. But we asked a poll. You've got a long way to convince our viewers, I'm afraid. Do you think the Earth is flat? No, say 94% of you, but 6%,
That's probably about right.
Basically, to kind of explain this, flat earthers say that there's a giant ice wall at the edge, which basically stops everything from falling off.
Like Game of Thrones, like
Yeah, something like that.
If you look long enough, you'll find Jon Snow up there. Yeah.
The South remembers.
The South remembers. Now, I guess that could maybe be the case, that there is this giant ice wall around the planet, as you see in my image there. But that doesn't work because the coastline of Antarctica is just 18,000 kilometers. On a flat Earth, it would be much, much larger because, it's got to go around the entire outer rim of the planet, the entire diameter.
Yeah,
or circumference, rather.
So would that mean then that the South Pole is a line, an unending line?
Like, what do you mean?
Well, because the North Pole is obviously still just going to be a point.
Mm-hmm.
But what is the South Pole? It's a ring the size of the planet, isn't it?
It's the ring where you get to the edge of the planet, which is somehow an ice wall that you just cannot scale for some reason.
Well, like that's super upsetting because like when you said like, oh, like there's an edge to the Earth, it's like, well, fuck jumping off a bridge. I'll just jump off the side of the Earth now. But if I have to climb an ice wall to do it, well, like bam, back to normal suicide plans. Like fuck.
Quick drop in. The geocentric model was the predominant description of the cosmos in many ancient civilizations, such as those of Aristotle in classical Greece and Ptolemy in Roman Egypt.
Who built the ice wall?
Ptolemy.
Is it just because it's cold on the outside? So it's just
Donald
frozen?
Trump built the ice wall to stop the aliens from coming to Earth.
But he made the aliens pay for it.
And the aliens paid for the ice wall, too. How's that?
Yeah, the Glen Oxy paid for it.
Oh, yeah, that's our working theory now.
It's true.
So the interesting thing about that is, so you've got 18,000 kilometers for coastline in Antarctica, but for it to go around the entire planet, it makes Earth way bigger than any sort of realistic model. So like the circumference of Earth is about 40,000 kilometers and it fits both sides. Now, if you're trying to put them both onto like a single plane, that makes the Earth way larger. So, the 18,000 kilometers of coastline in Antarctica would have to be way bigger than that now. Because the flat Earth would be much larger, in terms of surface area than like a spherical Earth. Flying anywhere would basically take ages. Say, you wanted to fly to like from Santiago, Chile to Sweden, Australia, 13 and a half hours.
Sorry, where in Australia? Where in Australia?
What did I say?
You said Sweden, Australia.
Oh, fuck.
I was like, is there Sweden in Australia?
You stoned bastard.
There might be.
Sweden? Why? I think I don't talk very
We have a Paris, Saskatchewan. So.
We have a Kandahar, Saskatchewan.
Oh, no.
We sure do.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a place called Sweden in Australia.
There might be.
Yeah, that sounds like, oh, cool.
Sydney, Australia. That's what I wanted to say.
I was like, I don't know that many people going from Sweden, Australia to Santiago, Chile. Like, it's probably not a very popular flight.
They run it once a day with a 777X, and there's your system down.
There you go.
Flying would be so weird, too, because, like, if you fly north, it'd be like a constant dive bomb, but if you fly south, it'd be like a constant climb, even if you're horizontal.
What would happen if you flew over the ice wall? Would you immediately appear on the opposite side of the disc? Kind of like getting respawned in a game of Armageddon?
Maybe you just fall off or into space.
I don't like that explanation.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, so like...
It's impossible.
Santiago, Chile to Sydney, Australia, 13 and a half hour flight, and that's on a regular spherical Earth.
Pop quiz hotshot.
Yes.
What's the longest current passenger flight in the world?
Something Singapore, eh?
Singapore to JFK.
There we go. So this flight on a flat Earth, you'd basically have to go all over South America, then you have to fly over North America, then you have to fly over the Arctic, China, Russia, New Zealand, if it exists, and then you arrive at your destination. So like that would be a trip in like a Boeing 747 going 1,000 kilometers an hour. Like that would still take days to do.
And it's not like they're keeping a secret, like how much fuel these planes can hold and how often they need to refuel. Like there'd be a lot of moving parts. Hide that conspiracy. It's actually taking twice as long. We're inoculating the passengers halfway through the trip, just so they don't realize it's taking all that
just
long.
Gas everyone in the passenger compartment. And
Richard, pop quiz. What type of aircraft is currently used on the world's longest flight? And I didn't look this up. It's in my head.
Ariane 5 rocket.
No.
Mercury 5 rocket.
No.
The Tsar Bomba.
No.
Oh.
A King Air 200.
You're much closer than the others.
I saw a documentary where a cowboy rode a nuke, though.
It's clearly a bush pie.
Spruce Goose.
No, it's it's the A340 XWB.
Ah, yes, I should have known that.
Yes.
Sikorsky helicopter.
That was something in my memory banks before I heard it just now, yes.
My second guess.
So you can't fly over Antarctica lest your flight fall off the planet. However, this was done back in 1935 by Lincoln Ellsworth, who, as it may surprise some, did not actually fall off the planet.
Oh.
What?
Yeah. Other things that we have come to accept in a spherical Earth would also have been impaired. So like the molten metal inside the Earth moves around an iron core, which creates a big magnetic field, which during the day side of Earth is about 65,000 kilometers above us, and on the night side of the Earth extends like 6.3 million kilometers behind us. And this basically stops the planet from being cooked by the sun and the solar rays. This causes the aurora at the poles. So like when charged particles from the sun interact with this magnetic field, they glow. And so that's your like northern lights and southern lights and aurora borealis and all that stuff.
So goodbye to those.
Goodbye to those on a flat Earth.
Oh,
Fuck
good.
that.
Yeah, so this couldn't exist on a flat Earth. On the topic of space, we would all end up sharing the same night sky.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we could all... which
like in the Truman Show.
Basically, regardless of where you were on the planet, you'd kind of have the same night sky. So like the star Polaris, which is the northernmost star, could be seen from Saskatoon as well as Australia, as well as Sigma Octantis, which is the Polaris Australis, which is the southernmost star.
Polaris Australis.
I think it was the other way. Okay.
It's just like the Aurora Australis.
You're just kind of getting like a boner over there with all the space talk, hey?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah.
Space and plane.
Discoveries made about space would actually not have happened because right now we have basically a 360 by 360 view of the universe from all over our planet. And any observations made that we got from that view would have to be made by space telescopes because, how you wouldn't be able to see at the conical tip of that flat Earth there. No one would be able to see. We wouldn't know what's on the other side of that.
Yeah, that'd be quite a hike or quite a dig to get down there.
Yeah, like have they dug?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Because that would be my next suicide plan is like digging down to as far as I could go to drop off the butt of the Earth.
Real quick, Google tells me that it is pronounced Aurora Australis.
We were both wrong.
That's the American pronunciation.
Australis.
I don't buy that.
The British pronunciation is Aurora Australis.
Yeah, that's how I'm pronouncing it.
Australis.
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 Aurora.
It's the Canadian accent.
Australis.
Oh, come on, guy. It's just this Canadian accent.
I can't believe how much controversy this has stirred up.
Controversy? Oh, geez.
It's very controversial.
So it would also end up being the same as day and night, no matter where you were on the entire planet. The stars we see would be shared with everyone. So to kind of explain things like day and night and time zones, some flat earthers have proposed that there's actually the sun and moon spinning over top of our planet to create day and night. Yeah, just around the top.
Would there really be a night then, or how would that work?
Well, the light from the sun would only reach a portion of the planet because it's kind of moving around over top of our planet.
Oh, so
it's like a flashlight.
Are they flat too?
I don't know, maybe. Or maybe they're round. I don't know.
So is it
sun theory?
Is down galactic west for the flashlight sun? If down is galactic east for the rest of the flat Earth? What the fuck is that? Why do they need so much extra shit to make this work?
It's so complicated, compared to, standard accepted models.
I mean, I'm not a flat Earth scientist, so I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
One must remember that usually God is involved in most of these.
I guess so, yeah. Divine intervention to make things work for us, yes.
Oh, so God is holding the flashlight.
Well, God's probably controlling the GPS, cosmic current, and everything else, too, so...
Yeah.
So they also propose that the sun and the moon are much smaller than what we generally would accept, basically saying that the sun is only 50 kilometers wide, and it circles above us at about 4,800 kilometers. And 4,800 kilometers would basically be like 550 Mount Everests stacked on top of each other.
That's too many Mount Everests.
That's a lot of Mount Everests. We can kind of incorporate this into our thought experiments. So like the sun would basically not set over the horizon like it does.
It would just scoot about?
Yeah, it would just scoot about. It wouldn't go below the horizon. All you just see is it would just start showing up in the sky at the same angle every day. You just see this small dot get bigger and bigger and bigger until it's, oh, hey, there's a sun. And then it'll just move away and get smaller and smaller and smaller. Kind of like, watching a plane fly over top of you sort of thing, but it would take all day for it emits a lot of light.
How do these people fucking talk about the horizon? Because you can't see South America from here. You can't see Russia from here. We're in Saskatchewan where you can see your dog run away for a week, but not that bad.
Well, and things like shorter days in the winter and longer days in the summer wouldn't exist either.
Yeah, so there would be seasons?
Yeah,
well, there really wouldn't be because seasons are as a result of a circular, or I guess a round Earth.
Yeah.
So
you could have a tilted flat Earth that progresses
kinda,
like an Euler's
sorta,
disk.
Maybe. Maybe they'll incorporate that into their literature.
That's
here.
in the next bug patch.
That's actually the Schumann's residence, is just the flat Earth top spinning.
The other thing, eclipses. Since the lunar eclipse is caused by Earth moving between the sun and the moon, which stops the moon from reflecting light back to the Earth, if they were above us, that would just never happen.
Fucking first the Aurora Borealis and now the fucking moon? What the hell?
Well, you wouldn't have eclipses, I'm sorry.
Well, see, God has a little, shutter slave that he can just say, hey, just shutter in front of the sun. I want to fuck with him for a bit.
Magical disc that just kind of appears to make the moon disappear. It's like, we got to do some maintenance on the moon, so we're shutting it off for a couple hours tonight, and we'll turn it right back on afterwards, later on.
Moon maintenance.
God goes to his prop department and gets the eclipse lens and slides it onto his flashlight.
Some of the dust has come off the scaffolding, so they have to re-put the dust back.
There you go.
You can see Kubrick just sitting up there.
Of course, it's Kubrick. Even God fears Kubrick.
Even talking more about the moon, you'd have like moon phases, but it would basically, the moon phase would be determined by where you are on the planet. The phase of the moon would not actually change.
Yeah, and like the size of the moon that you see.
Yes, exactly. So it's just, I don't know, ridiculous in the way that it is subject to ridicule.
Maybe the moon is just like God's monthly whittling project. You just like it little by little.
And then his creation project of like filling it back in.
Unwhittling, which only God can do.
Whittle it.
Well, let me ask the astronaut.
Former astronaut.
Once an astronaut, always an astronaut. Are you aware of the angular resolution of our eyes and perspective? You
generally
are, of course.
speaking,
Okay,
yes.
so angular resolution is basically, it's just a law of, as an object gets further away, let's say a car, and it's a mile away, 10 miles, it's gonna disappear. There's a crater on the moon that's supposedly 30 miles wide. The angular resolution says that it disappears, that 30-mile, we can see it with our naked eye. We can look up and see it, right?
I don't know. I don't know what crater you're talking about.
The moon is 38,000 miles away, we're told.
No.
Excuse me, 238,000 miles
That's
away, right? So it's really far.
Okay.
And
Yes,
yet
it is
we
really
can
far.
see this crater with our eye. Did you know that crater, based on the law of angular resolution, hold on, it disappears at 400,000 feet? That's 75 miles. That crater is gone. You cannot see it 75
Without actually knowing
miles
what crater you're even talking about, this is who knows?
Well, it's 30,
Is
30
it in the
miles
Sea
wide.
of Tranquility?
It's 30 miles wide. I'm giving you the numbers, and you want to jump past it because that's real science. Your eye can only see an object so far away.
Well, that's
so
true.
30
Your
miles away,
iPhone actually has higher resolution than your eye is capable of seeing. So yes,
at
I
30
agree that
miles
there are things
away,
you
the
can't
crater
detect.
disappears. At 75 miles away, the crater will
I'm not
disappear.
smart enough
Now,
to.
you
So
mentioned-
hold on. Tell me how that relates to flat Earth.
Well, it proves that the moon is close.
And how close would you estimate it to be? Most of us have learned 250,000, right? Miles, right?
Yeah.
That's generally speaking.
I would say 6 feet. Oh no, that's chewy.
How far and why haven't we traveled there if it's so close?
Oh, we've traveled there. We've gone to the moon. We've gone to the moon probably every day. They're doing all kinds of observations.
Okay, but how
on
close?
it.
Can you give me an estimate of how in miles? How close?
So do you believe space aliens exist, by the way?
No, absolutely not.
But how many miles away is the moon in your
Do
estimation?
you? I mean, most people do believe space aliens exist.
How far away is the moon?
Hold on, answer Bob's question.
How far
and then we'll
away
go
is
to
the
Richard.
moon generally, ballpark miles, or knots, or whatever?
Well, according to the official story, it's
Parsecs, I don't know.
238.
No,
but what do you agree?
You're here to educate us.
Oh, on the flat Earth model?
No, how far is the moon from flat Earth?
In the flat Earth model.
Yes,
But
yes.
In your
the
mind.
moon is, it's really up to debate because, like I said, we could possibly
Give me ballpark. We're looking ballpark.
Just give a number.
30,000 feet.
And
30,000 feet.
Airplanes fly higher than that.
Do they?
Even before I went into space. Well, first of all, commercial airliners fly
39.
About almost 40.
According to you.
Then, of course, I've also been on the Concorde, which flew over 50, 60. Then I've also been up on MiG-25s, which go to like 85.
Could you stop making us feel like our life is
we're doing
nothing?
and then, of course, in space, you're about 250 miles up.
Can I ask a quick question? At this 30,000-foot moon?
Well, so
flat earthers are willing to
How
admit
big
that
is
we
the
don't
moon?
know everything.
How big is the moon?
We're trying to figure this out.
But
and by the way,
if I may,
nobody.
Just real quickly want to know how big is the moon? Do you think?
I don't know. If you have like a glass dome or a
Truman
firmament,
Show.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
I gotcha.
And when you put a light behind it, then it becomes very relative to your position on the Earth. Where the sun is. That's why it's very hard to triangulate the moon and the sun. People have tried it.
Okay.
No flat earther believes that we live on a pancake that's flying through space. This is misinformation put out, to make it seem ridiculous. The Flat Earth Society is controlled opposition to make it seem ridiculous.
Okay, so you believe the ice wall is less ridiculous than the pancake?
It's not a wall; it's a shoreline.
So you're on flat Earth and you're exhausted. There's no phones, no GPS, no rain in your face, and the ocean has flooded your living room. The sun is now cooking you because there's no magnetic field. So you just got to relax, and you pop in season 6 of your DVD set of The Simpsons to try and relax. Now you get to episode 16, and holy shit, it's about Homer investing in pumpkins. You look at the box, and instead of there being the classic episode, Bart versus Australia, it's this lame Homer versus Patty and Selma episode. And in that episode, Homer borrows money from Marge's sisters, and he kind of has to become their servant because he's indebted to them.
Oh, he would hate that.
Yeah, so Bart versus Australia. Bart notices that the water in the bathroom sink always drains counterclockwise. Lisa explains that water only drains clockwise in the southern hemisphere, and Lisa, wrongly though, attributes this to the Coriolis force. So here's our clip.
Go, toothpaste, go! Move your pasty white butt. Come on, shampoo, you can do it! Yay, I won your stupid bathroom products race! No fair. You only won because you had the inside track. If the water was spinning the other way...
It never spins the other way. In the northern hemisphere, water always drains counterclockwise. It's called the Coriolis effect.
No way. Water doesn't obey your rules. It goes where it wants. Like me, babe.
Yes, Bart. Why don't you try it and see?
I know I've seen it go the other way. Ah, faithful toilet. You'll prove me right.
I'm a thing it in the show! Oh! Cold! Oh! Cold! Oh! Who's doing that?
Oh, for Pete's sake, Bart, use the plunger. Bart, water will only go the other way in the southern hemisphere.
What the hell is the southern hemisphere?
Haven't you ever looked at your globe? See, the southern hemisphere is made up of everything below the equator. This line.
So to confirm this, Bart makes a collect call to Australia, which sets in forward the events of the episode. It's really a funny episode, as you can see.
He fights a kangaroo at one point, right?
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
Well, like it kind of like it definitely reminds me of being a kid. Like I would take the time to like you usually use your hand and you like try to like make it go the other way, like try to get it spinning the other way.
Yeah.
Like I spend a lot of time doing that because like anytime you drain the sink and there's floaties and stuff, you just like go down.
I did that.
Yeah.
So now I say that Lisa wrongly attributes this to the Coriolis effect. It's because in reality, the toilet bowl or a sink or a bathtub or whatever is actually too small of a body of water for this force to have any sort of meaningful influence. So what determines the direction the water swirls is actually the shape of the toilet bowl or the jets that fill the toilet bowl and what direction they're facing. But there are other things which are affected by the Coriolis force. So what this force is, think of a Ferris wheel, and you're seeing it from one side, and someone else is observing it from the other side. And so on one side, they're like, well, it's going clockwise. And the person observing from the other side will say, well, no, it's going counterclockwise. The motion of fluids are affected by the orbit or the rotation of a spherical Earth. And so larger systems of fluid, like, say, hurricanes, are influenced by that. So they go one way from the northern hemisphere, and then they actually spin the other way in the southern hemisphere, kind of because they're trying to go to the center of the Earth. And
fuck shit
it just
up.
depends what side of the equator you're on is kind of what side of that hurricane Ferris wheel you're looking at.
Yeah, when you're talking about trillions of tons of water, it can be affected by like forces like that.
It also has to do with things like the trade winds and the jet stream, things like that actually reverses direction at the tropics and the north and south pole.
It has to be a major system though, right? So like every once in a while, like lakes will essentially just like mysteriously drain, or like there's ones that are always just kind of draining. So like that's a bigger body of water that's not affected, is it?
I wouldn't know on the scale of lakes.
Yeah.
Just in local household appliances, the body or household plumbing fixtures, the body of water is just not strong or large enough to have any sort of meaning effect on with this force. The closer you are to the North Pole, the less distance you need to travel. compared to the southernmost part of the body of water. So that's why like hurricanes swirl and that kind of thing is because of this effect.
Hey, Richard.
Yes.
This episode is really fantastic. And if you like other episodes like this and want to catch them a week early or want to get some cool packages from us, join our Patreon, patreon.com/ovpod. If you contribute at the $6.66 a month level, you can join my fan club, Richard's fan club, Sage's fan club, or Ood's fan club, and we will write you a fucking letter. No shit. We will.
Ood's winning, so like, you know.
Ood has the most.
Ood has the most.
And all of our patrons right now who we have addresses for, I'm sending a holiday letter to. So like join the Patreon, patreon.com/offpod. Continue, Richard.
Join the Richard Bigley fan club. It'll be good. I don't know. We also mail people like our scripts and our notes and stuff like that. And
sometimes you'll just get recording night detritus. It's a good time.
Yeah, whatever we just kind of discard from the night, we'll send it to fans. So if you want like, scripts or... What has anyone sent anything weird to anybody?
I've sent condoms.
You've sent condoms?
Not used ones, like packaged condoms.
Packaged, unaltered.
The ones that say Saskatoon want a spoon because they're kind of clever.
Oh, that's cute.
So yeah, hurricanes don't happen on the equator because the Coriolis effect is just too weak for any sort of storm to start swirling. The demon said it affects the jet stream, which helps distribute heat through the atmosphere and regulate the planet's weather. And but none of that would happen on a flat Earth. So bringing it back on a flat Earth like this, there would be no hurricanes ever. There'd be no Bart versus Australia, no giant Australian boot, no Chazwazzers, and no knifey spoony.
Oh man, they don't get to destroy the ecosystem with frog?
No.
Oh.
That's too bad. So that episode wouldn't happen. So, so I've kind of gone through flat Earth here.
Wait. Sorry, I was dissociating for a small second there. What about frogs?
In the episode, Bart brings a frog along from America and it destroys the Australian ecosystem.
Come on. Get out. Shoot. Get out of here. Ugh. These bloody things are everywhere. They're in the lift, in a lorry, in the Bone Wizard, and all over the Malunga Gilderchuck.
They're like kangaroos, but they're reptiles, they is.
We have them in America. They're called bullfrogs.
What? That's an odd name. I'd have called them Chazwazzers.
Okay, I thought it was going to be another, like, flat Earth, there's no frogs. It's like, come on. I can't take much more.
No, there should be frogs.
No, just no Chazwazzers.
No Chazwazzers.
So, from this thought experiment, you can see that we do, in fact, exist on a round Earth, which is orbiting the sun. So I hope you did enjoy my brief trip to the flat Earth. And please write in and let me know what you think of my episodes. Richard@ovpod.ca.
Or feedback at offpod.ca if you feel that way too.
Maybe they don't want you to read the feedback. They just want it to be like a secret for the rest of the hosts to talk about.
Okay, that's fine. Then they'll just withhold your comments from me. That's fine.
Fun fact, there are no secrets in offpod.
No, it's true.
We're actually all naked right now.
Yep.
I was
no
gonna say,
secrets.
No, I was going to say I wish, but then these couches are leather and pleather and
It's true. You disgusting beings of flesh have lots of sweat and other secretions.
We're very oily.
Well, like I'm actually like I'm literally like I'm grateful, thankful now that this is a winter recording because it gets hot up here in the summer. So praise be the winterness. Yule's the 21st. Woo.
I'm naked under my clothes like some kind of harlot. So
like Sam the Eagle.
Yeah, it's true.
Hear that? Humans underneath their clothes are absolutely naked.
How dare they?
And then he's like, birds underneath all their beautiful feathers are absolutely. Yeah. And then he like sidles off.
I would just like to say a few words about nudity in the world today. And I, for one, am just appalled by it. What? Did you know that underneath their clothing, the entire population of the world is walking around completely naked? Is that disgusting? And it's not just people, although goodness knows that's bad enough. But animals too. Even cute little doggies and pussycats can't be trusted. Underneath their fur, absolutely naked. And it's not just the quadrupeds either. Birds too, yes. Beneath those fine feathers, birds wear nothing at all.
How do you feel about nudity?
Well, personally, it always left me cold.
There's one way that flat Earth could work. Just simulation theory, and the game devs are just programming shit to make the weird shit work.
Just random physics.
Yeah, like in a game engine, like why couldn't the Earth be flat and why couldn't gravity go north and shit?
In game engines, the Earth is flat because it's all Cartesian.
Yeah.
They don't really make round things. Even on round ones, they have just like a flat map that they map to a sphere.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, the same thing, but kind of not. Game devs, tell me how wrong I am.
This was thoughtful and clever
Yeah, it was
of an
thoughtful.
episode.
It blew my fucking mind,
Yeah.
for being honest.
My mind is pretty fucking blown, too.
I like the leany trees.
Leany trees.
Yeah.
Sideways rain.
There's raining sideways.
Climb trees so easy.
Being
Okay,
in a
there's a positive. There's a
You
positive.
just walk trees.
You just walk
It's not
trees.
really climbing at that point.
If you're in the North Pole, though, you can fish up because there's a giant sphere of water above your head.
There you go.
That's fun.
Oh, like Final Fantasy, the Blitzball.
Oh,
That's where the Xanakin
there we
is.
go. Spira is on a flat Earth. Now we know.
Oh, then sin. So sin is a part of course it is. It's, yeah.
Who has gravity powers?
The Scootin' Sun.
Yeah, just Spotlight Sun.
I'm just mostly upset about, episode 16 on The Simpsons there.
Yeah.
Bart versus... It's a good episode. Yes.
I love that episode.
What kind of a sick country would kick someone with a giant boot? Mr. Simpson, shush. Disparaging the boot is a bootable offense. It's one of their proudest traditions.
Thank you, Bart. I promise I won't make fun of you later for this.
Show them what American butts are made of, son.
That's it, lad. This is for the Commonwealth of Australia.
And this is for the United States of America.
So, recording with me today, we have...
Sage Fairy.
Leon Filger.
Ood Gallifrey.
The soundboard demon.
I thought we let the guests go first. 'cause
No,
they're
we've
guests.
never let the guests go first.
No, the guests never
You
go
have to
first.
do
I'm
that to me
switching
all the
shit
time.
up here. I'm
Fuck the
switching it up,
guests.
keeping y'all on your toes. We're doing some
Even in-
fresh stuff.
Even in the pre-talk where it's like, here's how the episode goes for our new guest and blah, blah, and I'm like, and then the soundboard demon goes, and then the guests go, and Richard's just like, and our guests, you fuck.
Okay, I guess guest at number 1, Mike.
Henry Chapman.
And guest number 2, Mike.
Geo the Void.
Have a good night or evening or weekend or whatever. What happens? Start of your day. Have a good day. There we go.
Bonsoir,
Yeah.
bonne nuit.
Good night.
Make good choices.
Don't stub your toe.
Love you, bye.
Eat more flesh.
Or that.
They'll just hear that right before it goes to the palate cleanser.
More flesh.
Playing us out this episode, we have Originally by Death Cab for Cutie, this time covered by Jay Filger, and featuring Kareen Mendoza. This is I Will Follow You Into the Dark. Enjoy and see you in the after show.
Love of mine, someday you will die, but I'll be close behind. I'll follow you into the dark, no blinding light, or tunnels to gates of white, just our hands clasped so tight, waiting for the hint of a spark. If heaven and hell decide that they both are satisfied, illuminate the notes on their vacancy signs. If there's no one beside you when your soul embarks, then I'll follow you into the dark. The time for sleep is now. It's nothing to cry about. 'Cause we'll hold each other soon in the blackest of rooms. If heaven and hell decide that they both are satisfied, illuminate the nulls on their vacancy signs. If there's no one beside you when your soul embarks, then I'll follow you into the dark. And I'll follow you into the dark.
Let's read an email from our mailbag. This one is from Kamala Freeman. Hey everyone, just wanted to pop by and say how fantastic you all are. I finally listened to your bioethics episode, and it not only struck me as a veterinarian, but also as a person who lost my mom to kidney failure. Thank you for your wonderful words and for your passion for palliative care and bioethics. You guys don't know this, but I turned to your podcast for support while my mom was in the final stages of kidney disease. You all never ceased to make me laugh, and you were a huge comfort for a really tough time in my life. Keep up the great work. Sending love from Nebraska. Hail Val Kamala. I can't take any of the credit. That's all Leon. He led the bioethics episode. He's the one that brings the bioethics related topics, including one we're going to record next week. And he really brings that expertise in. And we started the podcast to have hard discussions. We do fun episodes too, but part of the reason why we started it is to have discussions, and discussions around decisions made in the medical field about the ethics of the patient and the doctor and the family. Those hard conversations need to be had. You're likely going to have a few in your lifetime when you're making a murky ethical decision in the medical realm. And same thing for our palliative care episodes. Even if a few of us upload our consciousness to some machine and live for another 10,000 years, that machine's batteries are going to die. Death is going to come for us all. We're all going to have a winding down and an end, and so are our friends and our family, and it's important to have those discussions. So yeah, all the credit goes to Leon, and he's going to keep on pumping out bioethics episodes when he sees fit, because he loves talking about it. If you would like to write in and give us some praise, or ask us a question, or give some commentary, or tell us what we got wrong on a recent episode, because we do accept criticism, feedback@ovpod.ca, or just message any of our social media accounts. We'll probably respond. See you next week for some more bullshit. We've been Occulte Veritatis once again. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.